Hello and welcome to the first Drafting with Axion video here on Axion Now TV. So ranked drafts of Theros Beyond Death have only just become available on Arena, and let's jump into one. So I haven't played much of this format so far, so bear with me as I learn through doing. So, having a quick look through all the cards here, my instinct is to go towards the premium removal spell, Drag to the Underworld. Seems like a good place to start. Doesn't seem anything else that's that appealing, so I'll just take Drag to the Underworld. Ooh, what do we have now? So we have Escape Velocity, which I'm not that drawn to. Renata is pretty good. The effect there is very good for all your other creatures, obviously. But there is a Maya's Grasp, which goes very well with the Drag to the Underworld and with all the enchantments enter the battlefield mechanics that are in the Theros set. So I think I'll just play it safe here and take the Maya's Grasp. Right, so what do we have here? So I think we're going to be taking a card of a different colour here. And it's what we're going to do. So here is Nyxborn. It's pretty strong, but it would mean dropping our first two picks, which are also very good. So I'm not that keen on that. We could take the Temple Thief, but it's just I mean, enchanted creatures or enchantment creatures could definitely come up in the Theros set and could be useful, but it's not something that I'm really prioritizing that highly. None of the other cards really seem to be that great. So for me, I think it's probably between Omen of the Hunt and Relentless Pursuit here. It's a tricky one. I think I will favour the Omen at this point because of all the cards that care about enchantments entering the battlefield, and that could become quite relevant. So this seems like quite a useful little card. It can destroy a smaller creature when it comes into play, then you get to discard a card from someone's hand. And then exiling the graveyard can be quite useful in this format because of all the escape creatures and spells, which are pretty good. There's some good cards here, more for other strategies. We could go with this and possibly consider splashing it with the Omen of the Hunt. And that's something to think about. But I think at this stage, I think I want to just, I'll take the Elspeth's Nightmare, keep strong in the black, and see how that goes. So what do we have here? So Shoal Kraken seems like a reasonable choice. It works well with our enchantments. We're not locked into green by any stretch of the imagination. And being able to cycle whenever we play some of our enchantments seems like it'd be very useful, and it's a decent defensive body anyway. There's the Spider, which I quite enjoyed playing with in Sealed. I'm not sure how well it works out in Draft. It could be very good. It could be quite bad. That's one of the things that you kind of have to learn the more you play in a format. The Soul Reaper of Mogus, which isn't particularly exciting, and Triton Wave Rider. I think I'd rather try out the Shoal Kraken. There's a Relentless Pursuit, which was debating between before, but I think I'd rather try out the Spider than the Relentless Pursuit at this point. But I would rather take the Shoal Kraken overall, so we'll take that and see where this leads us. So, we could take the Lampad of Death's Vigil, which is a reasonable creature, gives a little bit of sort of late game reach with the sacrifice ability and gets you a little bit more value when people target your creatures with removal spells, especially if they're enchantment, and they have a bit of a constellation theme going on. But to be honest, I think I'm going to lean towards the Shoal Kraken. I think that could be quite a good sort of curved topper and value engine in a deck that has a lot of removal. So we'll take another Shoal Kraken here. So what are we looking at here? The Horned Beetle. That seems like it could be pretty good in the right deck. I don't think we're that deck, at least not at the moment. The Turtle's a good defensive creature, but I'm not sure how necessary that is with the kind of removal we have at the moment. We're not really looking at exploring any other colours really at this point, and I don't think there's a reason to go into it. So it would be between green, blue or black. I think the Turtle's out. I don't think the green really supports where we're at the moment, even if it could be pretty good. So I think it's really between Omen of the Dead and the Triton Wave Rider. Now I think this seems to me like a reasonable choice, and I think Omen of the Dead will come up quite a bit. I think there'll be a few available for us to get if we want them. So I think at this point I'll take Triton Wave Rider and move more into blue-black. Okay, so we have a potential constellation card, or another constellation card, which enables you to mill 2 cards from a player's library. Now, at the moment, this isn't really something we're that interested in, because with all the escape cards going on, we don't really want to be milling our opponent if it's not killing them straight away. So I'm probably not looking that seriously at this card at this point. So I'll look at some of these other cards. So there's Hydra's Growth, which it can be very powerful, but it's a very risky card because it takes a while to get going, where some of the other better enchantment auras that you get in the set can get you value straight away, like the blue-white enchantment, whose name escapes me at the moment. This seems like a fairly decent card if it was in white. The Berserker seems okay, but I'm not really looking for another 5-drop. So I think I'll just take this, because it can pick off the low toughness creatures. It can work with our Shoal Krakens. So I think I'll take Mogs' Favour here. Okay, so what have we got here? We could take a Traveller's Amulet. We're probably not playing this Omen of the Hunt with the way things are looking at the moment. But it could enable us to splash something, such as the green-blue uncommon we were looking at earlier. Otherwise it's Temple Thief, which is a fine but uninspiring card. So I think at this early point I'll take the Traveller's Amulet to see if we would want to be able to splash it. Now the Eidolon of Philosophy is a very late game centric card because of its ability. A 1/2 for 1 isn't really something that you're that interested in normally. I don't think we're losing much by taking it here. The red cards are not for us at this point. I don't think we're going to be playing Relentless Pursuit, and I'm not that keen on picking up the Berserker, which seems to be in a more aggressive favoured strategy than we're on. So I think I'll take the Eidolon Philosophy. I think it could work quite well with what we're doing. Okay, so at this point, I think I'll take the Temple Thief. So we got our 2-mana 2/2 in the end. So this is a fairly solid but uninspiring card. It could be quite useful to get us through to some of our more powerful things. We already have a Wave Rider. We're likely to see more if we want them. So I think I'll just take this to give us a bit more consistency. And I'll move the Omen of the Hunt into the sideboard for now. Don't want to Portent of Betrayal. We'll take the Unknown Shores, but I'm not that keen on playing that either. And the Rumbling Sentry's not really for us. Ooh, what have we got here? So, this seems like a very good, nice card for us to have opened. A 4/5 flyer is very nice, and the fact that we can play this at instant speed, and it gives us a bonus for some of our other spells is a nice thing to have, although it's not necessarily the most important part of this card. There's also the Witness of Tomorrows, which is quite nice. The Light Breath Kotobelpass. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. So they're things that we might look to see if they could, they'll come back. But yeah, I think it's a pretty easy Thrix, the Sunstorm for us. Treacherous Blessing. Well, we have a couple of options here. This is pretty good card draw spell. The problem is, once you cast it, every spell costs you a life from that point onwards. So it's a treacherous blessing. It gives you the cards, but then it punishes you for playing them. So it can be a bit risky, and I would suppose it was more of an aggressive card, or a card for a more aggressive deck. But what we have to look at is what else we have available. The Witness of Tomorrows could be quite good. We've got 2 Shoal Krakens already. I don't think we need any more of those. But the Witness, the 3/4 flyer with an extra ability, is something that we'd be interested in. But we have to be aware that our curve is getting a bit high at this point. So for me, I'm thinking more between the Treacherous Blessing and the Witness of Tomorrows. We have a few things that work with the... Well, they're both enchantments, so they both trigger Constellation. I think I'll take the Treacherous Blessing, partly because it's a rare, so you don't see it as often, and I'll get an idea more of how it works actually in the game. Ooh, what do we have here? Right, so we have the Kotobelpass, which I said was interesting before. In terms of actual on-board devotion, we're more likely to be favouring blue from the looks of things rather than black, which are usable spells which we expect more to end up almost straight in the graveyard. So it's not going to be the most effective, and as I said, our curve is quite high with the Thrix and the Shoal Krakens. So I think I'll take Omen of the Sea. Gives us a bit more consistency, helps us find our good cards and avoid some of the bad ones. Adds to the Constellation element of our deck. So I think it's a good one for us to pick up here. Right, what do we have here? Oh, well, I was looking through the blue cards more than anything at this point. Because we've been taking a lot of blue cards more recently. And so we've got another mill card. For the reasons I said before with the O2 creature, I'm not really that interested in this. The 1/3 flyer seems like it could be pretty good, because our devotion to blue is going to be pretty good, so it's going to act as quite a good combat trick that sticks around. Or early we can just play as a 1/3 flyer, chip in, blocks other flyers reasonably well. But there's another Drag to the Underworld, which is truly premium removal. So I think we'll take that. There's also the Vexing Gull, 3 mana, 2/2 flash flyer. Seems pretty good, but we'll take the premium removal here and go with the more controlling sort of theme that we have. And what do we have? So we have another Wave Rider. I'm not sure that I'm that interested in that at the moment, as the curve is already quite high, and there's other spells that can interact here. I don't think we need another Mogu's Favour. The one could be reasonably good, and it has escape, so we can always recast it. I'm not that keen on picking up another one. Funeral Rites is a bit of card advantage. Could be a bit punishing. But we already have some decent card draw and cycling and things to get us through, so I'm not prioritising that highly. I think I might take the Deny the Divine here. We seem to be set up for that kind of role in the game better with the cards that we've taken. So yeah, I'll take the counterspell here. So we get the chance at another Mogu's Favour or an aspect of Lamprey. I'm not convinced that this is that strong in draft, although I did quite enjoy playing it in sealed. The discard 2 cards there is quite a good card advantage effect, and then the lifelink and sticking around for extra devotion gives you a bit of an upside on top of that. I think I might take it, because at this point I don't think I want another Traveller's Amulet. It's not really doing much for us. We're not really green, red or white, so it's between that and the Mogu's Favour. I'm not that sure that I want another one, so I'll take Aspect of Lamprey, but we'll put it in the sideboard for now. So we have some interesting choices here. So we have the Hateful Eidolon. I don't think this is really that good for us. Actually, it could be reasonable for us, actually, with the Mogu's Favour and the Maya's Grasp. They enchant the creatures, and so that could give us an extra way of drawing, although it's another fairly weak card like the Eidolon of Philosophy on its own. We have the Vexing Gull, which works quite well with our instant speed removal spells and our counter spell. 2-1 with an additional value of a token being left behind, although the token's not really going to do much for us. Or the Lampads, which just gives us a bit of board presence early on. We only have the one Maya's Grasp and Mogu's Favour, though. So I'm not sure how effective Hateful Eidolon will be for us, but I'm quite keen to see if we can make it work, so I'm going to take it here, even though I think it's probably not the best card for us to have taken. Right, so here we have 4 options really. This I don't really value at all. Doesn't seem very useful, possibly in a more aggressive deck, but not for us. 3 mana, 2/3. That's an enchantment creature, works with our constellation, makes our spells cheaper to cast when it's not our turn, which works well with our counterspell and our instant speed removal. Our Omen of the Sea, our Thrix. So, considering that, and we already have an elite instructor, I think I'll try out the Naiad of Hidden Coves. Right, what do we have here? Mirror Shield doesn't seem that thrilling, but there isn't a lot else for us either. Don't think I want another Eidolon of Philosophy. I'm not sure this is very good for us. It's more of a tempo card. That's not to say it doesn't have any uses. So, having said that I didn't think it was that exciting, I think I will take the Mirror Shield, but I'll put it in the sideboard for now. That's another Mirror Shield. Might take the Riptide Turtle though, just to give us a bit more early board presence. Stern Dismissal is more of a tempo card, but it could actually be quite useful for us. So I'll take that. We don't have a lot of options anyway. I'll take the Sweet Oblivion, but I'm not looking to play it. Take the Portent of Betrayal, but it's not for us. I'll take the Swell. Right, what do we have here then? We have board wipe in white. That's our rare, but that's not really going to do a lot for us. We have Underworld Dreams. It's going to be pretty tricky to cast and have dubious value. We could take another removal spell, which could actually work quite well. Because if they have only enchantment or a big enchantment creature, but not other enchantment creatures, you can always snipe it, even if they have a rubbish 1/1 or something like that, just clogging up the board, so it doesn't necessarily lose its value later in the game. But we do have some good removal as well, so it's not really a priority. There's the Brine Giant, which gives us a good end game. We have a few enchantments and enchantment creatures. But I think I may just take the Lampad here as an enchantment creature itself. It does some of our Constellation, gives us a bit of an early blocker. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with for now. Okay, we have some options here. We have another Shoal Kraken as an option. Don't think we're going to go for that. We have Timer It. This has potential to be good. It might be a little tricky to cast at double black, especially on turn 2. The exiling of cards from graveyards could be quite useful in certain matchups, which make use of the graveyard. Any escape decks, for example. I'm not sure how much I value that, but I do like unconditional removal spells. I mean, obviously there's a bit of a condition in that it's expensive mana-wise, but I think I'm going to take it. We've got quite a controlling deck, and this is exactly the kind of thing we want to control the board. Okay, so here we have Eutropia the Twice Favoured. With all the enchantments, this could potentially win the game by itself. Be a reason for us to have picked up more Traveler's Amulet. I think we had occasion that we could have picked up 1 or 2 more. Maybe we missed an opportunity there. We could take Whirlwind Denial. We could take Tobal Pa. But it's early in the format. It's a fun time to experiment, so I think I'll take this and see if we can play it. We've got a few options. Okay. So we have a counter spell, which counters anything, which could be quite powerful in our deck. We have this that makes spells cast on our opponent's turn cheaper. We have this, which is an interesting removal spell, so they could keep their best creature but keep sacrificing other things, or sacrifice the creature you put this on straight away. So it's not terrible, but it can be unreliable. It's the best way of putting that, I think. I think I'll take Naiad Hidden Coves over the Soul Reaper, because being able to make some of our spells cheaper on our opponent's turn when we want to be able to interact means that we don't have to, or it mitigates some of the risk of having more expensive spells in our deck. So I think I'll take the Naiad here. Ooh. The Devourer of Memory. Okay, so this gets +1/+1 whenever 1 or more cards are put into our graveyard from our library. We don't really have a self-milling theme, although we do have... No, that doesn't work. That goes from our hand, so that's not that good, although it can always fuel itself and make it self-unblockable for 3 mana a turn. Yeah, I'm just not sure if that's really what we want. We could also take the Harpy. It's 1 mana more, it's flying, so you don't have to keep investing mana in it. we could take an instant speed card draw spell, which would work quite well with the things that reduce our cost of spells on our opponent's turn. I think we're possibly a little bit creature-light, and Scavenging Harpy's ability does have an upside against some decks. So I think I'll just take the Harpy at this point. Right, I think I'll take an Omen of the Dead, because we don't have that effective ways of ending the game. So we do want to get back some of our better creatures, so we'll take that. And we have Harpy. It's not the best creature ever, so I think I'll take Omen of the Dead here. Okay, so now we have an Enemy of Enlightenment. This works a bit against our card draw spells, which allow us to play a controlling strategy by giving us card advantage. But this does make each player discard a card, and potentially a 5/5 flyer ends the game very quickly, so we're not really giving much up. There's a counter spell, but I'll take the Enemy of Enlightenment here. Right, the Underworld Charger seems better for aggressive decks than us. We're probably wanting to block with our creatures more often than we'll be attacking early in the game. So this isn't really something that we're that interested in. I think we have Omen of the Dead, which does a similar role but doesn't require us to be or get the most effect out of this by reacting at instant speed. So I think I might just take the Memory Drain to give us the option. Underworld Dreams are still here. I think I'll take the Eidolon of Philosophy, but I'm not looking to play the second one. Another Shoal Kraken, well, the same Shoal Kraken back again. We'll take the Elite Instructor. The Whirlwind Denial's still there. We'll take that now. I'm pausing a bit, although there's not really much that matters. I think this is too expensive a spell that doesn't really contribute to the way we're winning. We already have one of these, and we have a few counterspell options, and we don't really want this. I think in terms of boosting your Vault progress on an arena, this might be the better pick, so that's why I'm taking that. Got the Devourer of Memory anyway, and we got an Escape Velocity we're not going to play. Right, so now we'll switch views, and we will work out how we want to build this deck. So we have 8 cuts to make. I think, to be honest, a sensible thing to do is to cut this, and then we can cut the Traveller's Amulets. That's 2 cuts straight away. Then we have to think about how many of some of these. Right, let's check out how many creatures we have. We have 16 creatures, which is actually a reasonable amount. So how many enchantments did we get that can kill other creatures? By enchanting them. It's just the 2. So this is probably not that great. If we had a 1 or 2 more Maya's Grasp, I might have considered it more. But I think we'll cut it for now. I think we have better options. We've got good removal. Not really playing a tempo game. We can't bounce our own things. So I'll take Stern Dismissal out. Moses Various bit of a removal spell. So we have this, the Thief. Kind of favouring the Turtle over the Thief because of us being more of a defensive controlling deck. It is a 2, which is always nice to have. Being able to get a board presence out is one of the better ways of defending yourself, as well as one of the better ways of attacking someone. we do need to make some cuts. I think I might take out the Whirlwind Denial. Keep the Treacherous Blessing for now. So how many creatures do we have now? We have 15. I think I'll take out the Thief. Do have a lot of expensive spells. Take out an Instructor. And one more card. So, what should we take out? Treacherous Blessing is an option because we're going to be playing a later game. So yeah, I think I'll just take out the Treacherous Blessing. I'm not sure it really contributes to the strategy. So this is going to be our deck for the games. I'll take this opportunity to remind you of Axion Now. It's a great place to buy all the Magic cards you could ever want or need. And also Mega Weekend. Mega Weekend is coming up relatively soon on March the 7th and 8th. Tickets are available now. So check that out, book your tickets, make sure you reserve your place. Hello, welcome to round 1. This is our opening hand that we get to choose about. We're on the draw, so we're going second. I think this is a reasonable hand for us to keep. We obviously don't have any black mana at the moment, which makes these uncastable, but we have Omen of the Sea that allows us to scry 2. We're on the draw, so we're drawing an additional card compared to our opponent, so I think we have a reasonable chance of finding what we need and interacting in the meantime until we get to that point. So I'm going to keep this. We'll see how it goes. And we've got our first swamp already, so that's reassuring to see. So we get to play some magic, most likely. So we'll just keep playing out our lands and passing. No reason to play Omen of the Sea or the Turtle now, as they both have flash. And we'll just see how the game progresses. Okay, an Entrancing Lyre. That's a pretty nice removal spell. The good thing about it is it scales with the game, so the later that you get in the game, you can scale it up to a better creature while also using it early on. It's not particularly mana efficient, but the fact that it's reusable effectively does make it pretty good. Right, so we'll play Omen of the Sea and see what we've got coming up. I don't think we want this other island, but we will take another swamp just to make sure we have our double black. Right, so here, just play out our island and we'll pass. And we have Scry from the Omen of the Sea that we can always play. And we have this. Right, so let's check out what this does. So, I think this is a reasonable card to counter because it doesn't interact with our removal well. Because this comes in as a 2/3 tapped, it creates a 3/2. Then if we kill the 3/2, then they get a 2/3. So I think this is a pretty effective, well, the most effective way of dealing with this is going to be to counterspell it. Okay, so we don't have the counterspell anymore, so it's not such a concern to not play on our main phase, and they're tapped out anyway, so I think we'll just put out the Wave Rider. It can get tapped by the Entrancing Lyre, but that will take most of their mana, but got 2 removal spells. Seems worthwhile to just get that out there. Ooh, hello. That's an excellent card, but unfortunately for them, we will give it a final death. Be exiled, and they won't get it back. It's exactly what you want your premium removal for. This card can win the game almost by itself, but you still need to have put enchantments in your deck to get the most out of it, but it's an excellent card. And I'm glad we've got the ability to kill that without him, our opponent, I should say, having gotten any additional value out of it. We also have our best spell in Thrix. Right. I think... what should we do here? They're way off from being able to draw with this. And we have Elspeth's Nightmare that can deal with it. We could just get that down so we have an idea of what's going on in their hand. That's something to consider. We could just play this on our main phase to prevent it being counterspelled, which is certainly a possibility. I think we'll... for now we'll just pass and think about flashing this in, see what our opponent does. If they play something bigger, then we'll definitely flash it in. Yes, so here we... I think we'll take a lick from the... No, we'll... I don't know the format well enough to know if there's a 1 mana spell that's really gonna blow us out here. I don't think there is, but I think we'll get some good value out of the Thrix here. So we'll flash him in before blockers, and we'll block the chariot. And that worked out about as well as we could possibly have hoped for there. Right, we could play the Enemy of Enlightenment. I don't think it's that worthwhile. I think at this point I will just Elspeth's Nightmare, just destroy the Eidolon. So that we get a chance to look at their hand next turn for a non-creature spell before they get the chance to use everything and all of the cards in their hand. And it lets us potentially strip their hand a bit more to make our Enemy of Enlightenment a bit more powerful. It would have been quite nice to get that out of their hand earlier, but we do have the Omen that can get it back. But there's nothing we can do about that, so that's just going to happen. May as well flash the turtle in. Aha, 2 Daybreak Chimeras. So Elspeth's Nightmare doesn't get anything out of their hand. But I think I will play the Naiad here. Enables us to cast Drag to the Underworld for just 2 black mana, which is great, while also putting something on the board. So we can kill this, and then hopefully we'll get a land to play the Enemy of Enlightenment. So if we play it, we will have to discard the Maya's Grasp, which is unfortunate. I think getting down a big flyer is what we're going to want to do. Actually, I think we can wait a turn. I'll wait a turn, I'll scry with the Omen of the Sea, then we can kill their Daybreak Chimera and get more value out of our cards. Because otherwise there's a reasonable chance he would just be able to trade off and just cost us anyway. So we'll scry. Okay, Omen of the Dead, we'll keep that on top. And we will Maya's Grasp the Chimera. Our Triton gets flying, which doesn't really do a lot. And we will attack in with our Naiad. So Thrix is what we're going to want to get back. And we have enough to play that and also scry with the Omen of the Dead. So that's pretty nice. we'll play the Omen of the Dead. Get back our Thrix. And then we'll scry. Okay, we'll take the memory drain and we'll keep up Thrix. So we still haven't got to play the Enemy of Enlightenment. Possibly it wasn't a great choice in drafting and in deck building for us, looking at the way the games play out, and maybe that's the downside of discarding a card is too great, or maybe I've been too cautious in having held it back to avoid playing our removal spells. But I think it's better to get to play our make use of our spells most effectively, get rid of his creatures. That's a bit of a delaying tactic, but doesn't really do that much. Not that concerned by that. We still get to keep up our counterspell and or replay it next turn, depending on what our opponent does. I'm not sure what our opponent's thinking about. Normally at this stage of the game, when you're top decking, there's not that much thinking required, in the sense that if you have a card that can impact the play or impact the game, I mean, this sort of makes sense because our opponent knows that we have Thrix, the Sun and Storm. And if we play that, then he can tap that with the Lyre, and then there would be 5 power of attackers. So it's not as strange a choice as it may seem on the face of it. But it doesn't really bother me either. I don't think it's gonna affect our ability to win. So we'll flash in Thrix. And then we will hit for 6. And we will play Naiad, keeping up the mana for our counterspell. This way, even if he moves it to the Thrix, we still have 2 power attackers which can finish him off, while keeping up a counterspell, so we know we've won, essentially. And our opponent agrees. So stay tuned for round 2. Hello, welcome to round 2. This time we're on the play, so we go first. We have a 2-drop, we have a cantrip, and we have a 6-drop. So it's not the best hand. I like this hand a lot less than our hand from round 1, but I think it's good enough to keep. So I will. Okay, our opponent keeps 7 as well. Play out our island. Okay, so we have 2 2-drops to go with now. I'm going to put the Devourer down because if he doesn't play a blocker, this does more damage when it attacks. That's the simple fact of that. Next time we can play the Lampad and immediately have its ability available. So we'll play the Lampad now. And attack with our Devourer. Okay. It's pretty good for them. Okay, so we have a choice now. I think we'll just... So we could activate his ability and get in for 3. They're a much more aggressive deck, so I think the chances of us effectively racing are fairly slim. So I'd rather keep these two cards back as potential blockers for now, and play Omen of the Sea and see what that can find us, basically. Okay, so that's okay. Not too worried about that. We'll play Omen of the Sea. And Final Death seems like a pretty good card for us to have. And we'll pass back to our turn. And we have Thrix, which is a great draw for us. Enables us to keep up Final Death in case they play something big. If they get a powerful creature down, then obviously this becomes a 3/4 trampler, which interacts pretty well with our cards in play. Though we can pump this on our turn as well. So it would still trade off for just one card, but we can also keep this up at the moment and kill something instant speed if we try and get tricked out. Other creatures you control have trample. But even better, we have Thrix. Which can eat this anyway. So we'll block here, and I think I just want to block here as well. Trade off, don't have to worry about... so we'll take 2 damage, but we don't have to worry about that creature being on the board. We have a removal spell for the Forerunner. So I think that's kind of worked out pretty nicely for us, actually. Okay, so we have some options here. They have 4 cards in hand, so our Enemy of Enlightenment is going to become a 1/1, and when they draw, it'll become a 0/0 and die. So we're not really looking to play that, so we're basically leaving up Final Death. We could hold back and offer to trade with the Thrix, the Sunstorm, which may then lead to them playing some spell on the Forerunner, which enables us to get a blowout with the Final Death. So I think that's what we're going to do, because at the moment 5 against 4, we're not going to win that race, so we might as well leverage our cards a bit better. We'll just offer the trade. It looks like they're accepting it. And I think we'll just Final Death that. Nice big creature we're not going to be able to interact with very easily. Okay, so we could play out the Enemy of Enlightenment. It'll be a 2/2, so it's not that effective at the moment. So I might hang on for another turn, play out this Instructor, and see what we can draw. And have Omen of the Sea scrying up. Okay, so that's not really achieved anything for us, but we can scry while still representing a counterspell. Oh, another 4/5. Deck is just full of massive creatures, which is sort of green-red's thing. So let's hope we can find Another one of our removal spells, which our deck is full of. So yeah, I think we want to keep both of those. I think we just want to just kill this. It's a pretty big target. This is still going to be too small really to interact. It's not really been doing it for me, this card. I think I'll just put this down, because otherwise we'll lose it to the Enemy of Enlightenment anyway. And it provides something pretty big, so we can block this, or this. Or do you want to block the beetle, so that we don't have to worry about it just continuing to grow. That's a bit unfortunate. And that's pretty fine, I think. Let's see if they attack. Right, we'll trade off here. It has escape, which means it'll keep coming back, but we'll have to live with that. Now we will play our Enemy of Enlightenment, which will be pretty big. Now they have a bit of a decision to make. They can just bring the Typhon back. Do they have enough cards? 4 other cards. Yeah, they've got enough cards to bring it back. Keeps our Enemy of Enlightenment pretty small. This is chumpable, doesn't have trample by default. The beetle's going to keep getting bigger though. Not sure what's going on here. If they block, attack with just the Chimera, I think that's a pretty safe block. The question is, which creature do we want to block with? Because we may have to multiple block our opponent's creatures, we might just want the higher power of the Instructor compared with the Lampad. So I think I will block with the Lampad for that reason. Okay, so we get a Scavenging Harpy, which is a bit better than it seems, in the sense that it can get the Chimera, so he doesn't have that escape card, and it's one fewer card if the Typhon gets killed as well. So we'll attack with our Enemy of Enlightenment. And now we'll have to work out how we want to be blocking these creatures. So this is 13 damage. I think I will just block with the Instructor here. The beetle's gotten a bit out of control. Okay, we have another chumper. So attack with both and play this out with the intention of chumping, otherwise we'd die. But this means that we have a better chance of being able to kill our opponent on our next turn. And there we go. Whew, that was a tight game, but we achieved victory in the end. Hello, and here we are ready for round 3. Seems like a pretty reasonable hand to keep. We have some early plays, we have some later things to aim towards, we have decent-ish mana, we still need to draw another black source, we drag to the underworld, but it seems like a pretty good choice. We're going first. We should be able to get in a few early hits with this, and we'll see how it goes in terms of just ploughing our mana in, milling a card, and getting in for extra damage. So, we'll keep that. Our opponent has mulliganed once, which puts us in the driving seat, although they will still go up to 7 cards with their first draw step. And for the same reasoning as last round, put the higher power 2-drop down first, as it gives us a chance to attack with it first. Wonder if we are playing against mono white, or if they've just been a bit unlucky with their lands so far. Well, we have no target for this, so it's not worth playing. We do have another 2-drop to play. Omen of the Dead obviously isn't doing anything if we play that. And then we'll attack for 2. So things have gone well in the early part of the game, but there's still a long way for us to go yet. Okay, so now we're up to 4 mana. The question is, what do we do here? We could play Elspeth's Nightmare and destroy the wall, get in for 3, and then be able to duress our opponent next turn. That could end up being useful just for the duress. We're not too worried about the wall, but being able to see what's going on in our opponent's hand, get a bit of idea of where the game's going, seems quite appealing to me. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop the Elspeth's Nightmare, destroy their wall, attack for 3, and then pretty much at the beginning of our next turn we'll get to find out if they've got anything. Should have seen that one coming, I think. Which is a bit unfortunate. And now we have their second colour. So they're a green-white deck. So I think there's a good chance they're constellation-y. No attacks. And they have nothing in their hand. So always the way these things work out. So it's a 2/3 flyer. It's a 2-4, it's nothing to worry about. And the 3-6, also nothing to worry about really. So attacking doesn't really seem worthwhile. We have some big spells to go for, and we have a removal spell, which will probably throw at the flyer. Though we could get it with Thrix, so maybe we'll hold fire on the removal spell and hope to draw another land. We could just get back the Devour of Memory. Yeah, I don't want to use the removal spell on that, so. So we'll just pass. Play our islands. What do we want to do? Do we want to just get the Kraken down to discourage the attack here, make it seem safer? Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. And there's the Pegasus. Okay, so we'll just pass with the intention of ambushing the Pegasus. Oh, there we go. So now we know that our ambush is going to work. And we can use our removal spell for the Forerunner. Okay, I think we'll leave the swamp in hand so that we have something that we don't really want to discard to the Kraken. I think we're probably just going to end up killing the Forerunner. So I'll just do that now. And then I'll attack with our flyer. And here they don't really have good attacks. So we're keeping the 3-6 at bay. The 2-4 can't attack because we'll just double block it, and the 1-1 obviously can't attack either. There we go, so we can block it this turn. And we can't triple block it next turn effectively either. So there is a bit of an issue. So I think we'll drop this to get back. So this is going to go to 2 counters, so it'll become a 5-8. So we can multiple block and it still be okay. I think that's what we're going to have to do. Unless they don't attack. Which they might not, and probably shouldn't. Yep, that's unfortunate. 3, 4, 6, 7. So I think we just have to let that go. And then we'll scry, hopefully find one of our other removal spells. I don't think we want that. I don't think that's doing enough for us. Yeah, maybe it was a bit hasty. There was no real reason to have killed the 5-3 when we did. Well. I think we'll block. Sacrifice. So we play this to remove this soldier and allow us to cycle through. Okay. That's a big chunk of damage. Another 1-1. Right. Well, if I play that, then I can't play any more removal spells. We'll just keep cycling through. It's now huge. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Block with the Kraken, because I think that drawing the 3 cards might be better. Oh, there we go. And we've won another game. Excellent. Whew. This game's getting a bit fraught towards the end, but we went through a lot of cards with our looting ability there, so that worked out quite nicely.